Codswallop.
Scientifically. It's Codswallop, perhaps. But the idea of drawing out and putting it, I think there's a balance to be had, of course, being a trivial person. I think there's a balance to be had. But the memories of D-Day aren't going to be genetically handed down. They have to be taught. Quadratic equations have to be taught from outside. But there is a dichotomy in education. And lots of people argue it with me that it's a false dichotomy. It's not a false dichotomy, it's a real dichotomy. And it's a dichotomy that goes through a lot of us in terms of our political persuasions and various things that we want to do with life and the way we see children, as whether we see them as people to draw things out of or shove things into, one or the other. But here it's nicely, this is from my book here. This is Ferdinand Mauch talking about it. And again, just have a look at that and chat about it, please. Chat about it a bit louder. As a teacher, and I think how we try and engage in the classroom, this always comes in, but as a parent as well. Eat broccoli? No. I want chocolate. Broccoli is shit. Chocolate is good. Chocolate tastes nicer than broccoli. Right, I come in with some broccoli's actually better for you because of this, and this. I'm giving her facts about this. She actually does like broccoli. She also likes chocolate. But certainly peas is the one she doesn't like for some reason, which I love peas, especially with a bit of mint sauce with lamb. Anyway, but you know, she hates peas. Now in this, I'm going to try and make her eat peas. Shakespeare is better than One Direction. Fact. It is. On whatever scale you want to bring that argument in, he is better. Shakespeare is better than One Direction. He's never smoked a joint in the back of a cab.
Is it better for dancing too?
Yes, Shakespeare's great. Have you never done one of those sort of nice things? You never seen the end of Midsummer Night's Dream? No? That's great. Definitely, it's actually there. Good dance stuff. And have you ever tried dancing to One Direction?
I wouldn't make that.
Mark, what would you say to co-constructing knowledge? When I said drawing out, what if I said a conversation with a child?
Well, can you hold a conversation?
I'm doing what I used to do.
Could you hold conversation? Because I think that conversation is vital. But I also think that we need values that we pass on, and to say something, this is good, and to say this is good and establish it as good is very important. Because or else, if you don't do that, how do you know what good is? As a drama teacher, I like them to do good stuff. There's nothing worse than crap drama. So I have to give them truths. And these truths are all questionable. They are all questionable. The problem is, if you question truth, you destroy truth. If you question it too much. And if you use the child analogy, if you've got a little kid and you're wandering along and they say, "Why is the sky blue, Daddy?" And you give them an answer based on your very little scientific knowledge. And then they say, "Why?" And then you try and get a bit further, and you're starting to get a bit shaky now. Then they say, "Why?" And why? And why? I don't know if you ever had one of those conversations with a kid, but after a time you end up knowing nothing. You end up knowing nothing. That's exactly what happened in Athens to Socrates. When times were wonderful, Socrates was having a great time wandering the streets of Athens, talking to people and questioning them, and everyone loved him, and it was great. When Athens got into trouble, they thought, right, why are we in trouble? I know, it's that large smelly man who's going around questioning everyone. And they hauled him in, put him on trial for corrupting the youth. Corrupting the youth. He's found guilty. He is found guilty. Why is he found guilty? Because he questioned. And in times of trouble, questions make things collapse. And they're often blamed for things. And here we have the problem. Athens wanted a stable state. Socrates is questioning that stability. Things fall apart. To quote a poem. Things start to fall apart. And anarchy is unleashed upon the world. So here we have the basics then, the argument between the grammarians, who say this is as it is, and the dialecticians who question that. And that to me is the dichotomy at the heart of education. And it's a real dichotomy, because one contradicts the other. If you say something is true and someone else says no it's not, you're destroying the truth. Now the point is, when I say Shakespeare is better than One Direction, philosophically it doesn't stand up. It can only stand up through my prejudice. My prejudice is that Shakespeare is better. And someone said, but it's all about dead white men and things like that. And then I have to defend it as a living white man, soon to be dead at some point, I expect. Not soon, I hope. Did I just say that? Paine versus Burke. Now, the time of the French Revolution, we've got this wonderful thing going through Europe about the dangers of throwing away the monarchy, and then we've got this great excitement about throwing away the monarchy. We have these two great theorists coming up, philosophers coming up with responses to the French Revolution. And we have Tom Paine, who was against the divine right of kings, if you like. The kings say this, say this, say this, say this. And he thinks that individual choice should take over. And Burke comes along and he reacts to Tom Paine. And actually he's defending monarchy. Now both of these people were happy about the American Revolution. So Burke is not quite a total believer in monarchies. But which one do you start to feel is more like you here? Because we've got Tom Paine saying about the individual, and the individual in the now. And if you think about it, if I'm saying to someone Shakespeare is better, and they're telling me One Direction is better, they're in the now as an individual. It's just my opinion, I can say what I like. No, you can't say what you would like. I am a man of taste. I know civilization. Here you go. Civilization. Here it is, it's in a book, it's very useful. If you want civilization, there it is. Smile if you've been civilized today. There you go. I've been civilized, so I can tell you One Direction's not. But if we have no responsibility, if I don't have as an adult or as a teacher any responsibility, because we're all individuals, we can have our own opinions, then anything I teach is nonsense. Bert comes along and said, well, actually, we have obligations to each other. We have some sort of, I have an obligation to the children in the class to actually hand on something that has value to them. The problem is, of course, when I'm handing these things on, they could be wrong. The capital of China is Peking, I was told. It's no longer Peking, it never was, it's Beijing. It's handed down wrongly. The world is flat. No, it's not, it's round or whatever. So we do have things that change. Which do you belong to? I'll give you another example of this. The socialist town planners of the 1950s and 60s and 70s, going along saying, modernity is much better than anything old. Look at those slums, let's clear them out. And they go into Deptford and they wipe it clean of all those dirty old houses. And they put in nice modern buildings. Now if you go to Deptford now, if you go to Stratford now, they did the centre of Stratford, they put in a brand spanking, beautiful shopping centre in the middle of a roundabout to get the cars going through. It was the great dream of that time. Because once you get rid of memory, and all the memories that were in those houses that were already there, and you start to say they don't count for anything, we can have a machine for living that makes things far better, that makes things work far better, we can get rid of the old, throw it away, and just have brand spanking new. Now what are they doing? They're ripping down the new houses in Deptford, the tower blocks and things like that. And you know what? The houses that people want to buy now are the old ones. They've got, do you know what? They've got the authentic fireplaces. That'll put a few £1,000s on the value. And it does. The old Georgian houses in Deptford are hugely sought after. The others